Hello and welcome back to Suspended Animation. I'm your host, Dennis Patholkis, and this is Titans, Season 2, Episode 12, Faux Hawk. Welcome, everybody. I'm going to take care of some business first, and then we will jump into this episode. If you like what you see here, hit the subscribe button, hit the like, share, and subscribe. If you want to know what I'm beyond again next, you can hit the bell down below. If you've already hit the bell, don't hit it again. It will unclick it. You can go into the bell settings, get as many or as little notifications as you want. Just so you know, it's a 50-50 chance of YouTube actually notifying you that I'm on. That's just the way it goes. If you want to see what I'm beyond, take a look at my website, suspendedfanimation.com, or my schedule is up there. It's also mirrored on my Facebook page as well. I have a Twitter, I have an Instagram, I have a Patreon page, but I don't have any tiers set up as of yet. There's also a Facebook group page where you guys can go in and post stuff and talk amongst yourselves if you have Facebook. Yes, I know a lot of people don't anymore, but hey, that's just the way it is. So, let's see here. Spoiler alert, I am going to spoil the shit out of the episode. If you have not seen the episode, go and watch it. Come on back. This will be a video. You can comment down below in the comment section. Thank you, Viking Bitch, for the paddle. All right. So we start off with 5 years ago. We're seeing, Jericho, the aftermath of him being stabbed by his dad. And as he's dying there, he jumps into his dad's body, Deathstroke's body. And then we see today, which they didn't really make a good a transition over into that. Jericho inside of a room, inside Slade's head, and Slade sitting there as well, telling him that Dick Grayson, keeps bringing the Titans back together, and that he's just going to have to teach them a lesson and kill them all. And Jericho tells him, you know what? Don't blame him for what happened. Blame me. I'm the one who did all this. And he goes, "You just don't understand. I'm going to kill them all." And he goes, "You're just pissed at them because they exposed you for the monster that you are, and they showed me that what kind of monster you are too." And he hates his dad. He's been trying to take over. He keeps trying to break out to take over his dad's body. And then we see Slade at one point. He's outside on the street, and he's on the sidewalk there, and he doesn't have control of his body for a second, and his leg jumps out into the street just as this big semi is coming by, and he pulls it back in, and he says, "Nice try, kid," and walks off. In the meantime, Gar is in a coffee shop, which he used to go to all the time, and the barista notices him and says, "Hey, I haven't seen you around in a while." And he goes, "Yeah, been busy, whatnot. I had to get my head on straight." And we start hearing classical music playing again, and Gar starts beating on people like the barista behind the counter. He starts breaking arms, punching the shit out of people. Then he turns into a tiger, mauls a few people, and jumps out the window and into the waiting van where Mercy is, and turns back into, a human. And he asks her, he goes, "What did he do?" And she tells him it was just a test. And he's crying at this point, too, because he realizes that something bad's happened, but he doesn't know what's going on there. Garth, Gar, because Garth is Aqualad. Yeah, that's what that was, Joe Greer. So Walter, in the meantime, is watching the news, and he hears, the tiger attack, and the mayor saying that it wasn't a loose tiger, it was basically a coordinated attack, and they've hired on Cadmus to take care of this problem. And Walter's like, "Oh shit, what the hell?" He didn't realize that that's where they were going with this. When all of a sudden the doorbell rings, and it's Don and Donna, and they've got his food that he ordered. And they invite themselves in to take a look at his, I don't know, something inside of his house anyway. And Donna ends up tying him up with a lasso, and she tells us that the lassos are actually kind of cool because not only can they wipe people's minds, but they can also compel them to tell the truth. And she's got him hanging, and he's, the lasso's all glowing and everything, and she's asking him, um, "We saw your face when your crew attacked Titan's Tower. We saw you were there." And he goes, "Yes, I was there." And they want to know what happened to Connor and Gar, and he says, "Well, both Gar and Connor had brain salad surgery," as he puts it, "and now we control them." And that's that's what we need to do for phase one. And Donna's like, "Well, what the fuck? What is phase 2?" And he says, "I don't know." And she tightens the rope a little bit more. And he's like, I don't know. I don't have that kind of clearance," which we saw Mercy had taken the clearance out of him on that one. And they let him down. And Donna tells Dawn that they need backup for this pretty bad. And that maybe, with Dick out of the picture, maybe they should call up Hank. And Donna's like, "No, no, we can't bring him in. This is not something that he's good with, at this point." And then we see what Hawk is doing, or Hank. Hank is dressed up in his Hawk costume, being lowered into a fight arena. And basically, what he's doing a little bit of Fight Club, street brawling, if you will, and taking any oncomers and beating the shit out of people is really what he's doing. He's taking one at a time, two at a time, even three at a time. And even with people throwing weapons down, they arm these people and he's still taking them down, but getting the shit kicked out of him too. But he's undefeated. Yes, Hawk is being stupid, and we see him in between fights going back there and doing coke. That's his drug of choice, obviously, is doing some coke there. Not a good thing. And so he's in the parking lot. He's got his duffel bag. He's in his civilian civvies there. And some woman asks him if he's Hawk, and he goes, "No, Hawk's left." And she's like, "What do you got in the duffel bag?" And he says, "Oh, hazmat equipment over at the plant." She goes, "Oh, I heard things over the plant grow bigger." She's obviously hitting on him. And so they end up in bed, and he's in pain as he's trying to screw her. And she goes, "Well, maybe you should get on your back and we'll do it that way." And he's still in pain. And he has her ride him very slowly. Never thought I would say that on this. And he's like, "Yeah, that's it right there." And then he falls asleep. And she goes, "I knew you weren't Hawk," is what she says at that point. Corey, in the meantime, is in a parking lot in the rain trying to get her powers to work. Her powers are fritzing and she's freaking out when Rachel comes out with some food. And you know, Corey, of course, doesn't tell her anything about it because that's what they do on CW shows. I mean, DC Universe shows. Actually, on CW shows is what they do. And Corey, they both get in the car, and Corey's pissed, of course, because her powers aren't working. And finding Dick. Dick has gone on the run now at this point, and they are in search of Dick, but Dick doesn't want to be found. And so Dick is hiding from them. When they get in the car, Corey ends up finding out that Gar is in trouble and says, "You know what? We're going back to San Francisco." And Rachel's like, "But what about Dick?" And she goes, "Fuck Dick. Dick doesn't want to be found. It's impossible." And she just basically kind of goes off. They start having a fight. And it's pretty stupid, honestly, the fight. And they end up, of course, Corey ends up breaking down and starts crying. Uh Rachel apologizes to her. They say, "Okay, we're going to be partners." They shake hands, but she still doesn't tell Rachel that her powers are on the fritz. So yeah, this is all for naught at this point. And Rachel agrees to go back to San Francisco to help Gar too. In the meantime, Jason and Rose are having their little hideaway there, and Jason is making Rose a bunch of different hot dogs, different flavors, and all that kind of stuff. And he gets a text from Rachel saying that Gar is in trouble and needs the help, needs all hands on deck. And Jason's like, "Fuck them. We don't need to do that." And Rose is like, "Well, maybe we should go and try and help them." And Jason's like, "No, it's probably just Dick fucking with me." And because I'm not going back, is what he says. And Rose says, "You know what? They're going to need help against Deathstroke." And he goes, "Deathstroke's probably out, murdering bankers out in Geneva or something like that." And she goes, "No, he's not." And he goes, "What, are you guys pen pals now?" kind of thing. And she goes, "We need to talk," is what she tells him. Yeah. And then we flash back to 3 years ago with Rose. She has two eyes at that point, knocked out on the street and on her bike. And there's all these people surrounding her. And she comes to with that gasp, kind of like she was dead for a second. And people are telling her to lay down. We're calling an ambulance. She's like, "No, no, I'm good. Fuck off. Get away from me." And we see her broken ankle actually heal in front of all these people. And everyone gets freaked out because, she had the broken ankle, it healed itself. She gets up on her bike and rides away. In the meantime, she gets home and she's washing blood off her hands, and her mom's like, "What the hell happened? We should get you to a hospital." She goes, "We don't need to go to the hospital." She goes, "I'm perfectly fine. In fact, I can't be hurt," is what she says. And she goes, "I want to know more about my past." She goes, "I know your side of the family. What about my dad, my real dad?" And she goes, "What are you talking about?" And she goes, "I've jumped off roofs. I've nosedived into gravel pits. I've killed myself so many times and I come back. I can't die and I can't hurt myself. Who is my dad?" is what she says. And her mom, May, by the way, says that, yeah, that basically they ended up, she doesn't, her father, her real father, they had a small time affair and that was it. And it was done with. And, she wants to know who he is, of course, and her mom starts telling her, but we don't see the whole thing. So we see Slade come home to Wintergreen and Rose standing there, and Wintergreen says, "This is your daughter," kind of thing, and she introduces herself, and Slade tells Wintergreen to leave, and he says, "What the fuck are you doing here?" kind of thing, essentially, and she picks up the gun. He goes, "You shouldn't be playing with that," because he pulls the gun out of his back pocket and lays it on the counter, basically to scare her at this point. And she picks up the gun and shoots herself in the hand and says, "This isn't normal. I want to know more about myself," you know? And he says, "Okay, I was married. I had a tryst with your mom in the hotel, and that was it. Get the fuck away or I'll hurt you," is what he says. And she screams back at him, "I'll hurt you," you know, however she's going to do that. So we see Rose going out on, I guess, her prom date. Didn't really look like it was a prom date. I thought she was just going on a regular date. Don't know what was going on there for a second there. And wishing out loud that her dad was there, her real dad. And the car pulls up. We see this really nice car pull up, and May's like, "Damn," is what she says about her boyfriend and or her date, you know. And Rose goes out there and jumps in the car, and it's actually Slade. And Slade apologizes for being rough with her earlier. And he says, he goes, "I can train you." He goes, "You can come with me. I'll train you, all that stuff." He goes, "But if you do this, you're probably going to end up being targeted by the same people that want to kill me." And she says, "Well, what about my mom?" And he goes, "Your mom knows everything." He goes, "I pay for the house. I paid for all your bills. How do you think your stepdad enjoys that golf course?" All that kind of stuff. And her real date pulls up and honks the horn and keeps honking the horn repeatedly. And she tells him, "Drive." Yeah. And we see at his place when they get there, he has a present for her, and it's actually her Ravager costume because we see that she starts getting into training, one-on-one training with her dad. And at one point, she's sitting off on the side there in her Ravager costume. I think she was puking at first. We never got to see the puke, but it looked like puke. And she was, he keeps calling her name in the other room, and she comes back in. And he starts kicking her ass. I mean, just upside on one side and down the other. He even stabs her in a few places, dislocates her arm, breaks an arm, that kind of stuff. And of course, she keeps rehealing at this point. And we cut back over to them having dinner. And she goes, "Well, what is the point of all of this? Why am I doing this?" And he pulls out the picture of his son, Jericho, and says, "I had a son, Jericho." She goes, "I have his brother." And he's like, "You had. He's dead. He got involved with this gang and fell in with the wrong crowd. And, that's why you're here, is you're going to help me take them down." That's what it is. And that you're going to need some clothing. Excuse me. You're going to need some new clothing. And we've got a plan that we're going to put together here at this point. So she was the one, she ends up, we flash back on her telling Jason all of this stuff. And Jason says, she was the one that helped with the break-in and releasing Dr. Light. She was the one that killed all those guards in the prison. It wasn't Slade, it was her. Um, she says, "I did that," and then he asked for more, is what she says. And then we flash back to 3 months ago, where Deathstroke says that he's going to break the Titans apart since they broke his family apart. And so what they're going to do is they're going to find her fighting him, and he says, "I'm gonna take your eye." And she's like, "What the fuck are you talking about?" He goes, "I'm gonna take your eye," kind of thing. And he says, "Because you're too pretty anyway," as he puts it. And she's like, "Fuck you," is what she tells him. Kind of like that. She actually fights back a little bit on that. So at this point, Jason freaks out and he goes, "I told you all my secrets and you've been spying on me all this time." And he goes, "I'm an asshole." And uh, he's basically getting ready to leave at this point. She punches him in the face and tells him, "Fight me. You want to fight me? Just do it." And he goes, "You know what? We're done." And he walks out. And just as she walks out, well, she actually yells at him that the Titans need them. And he says, "Fuck all of you." That's what he says. And he leaves. And the phone rings just at that time, and Deathstroke is watching her at this point too. Uh, I'm fairly sure, and he goes, "Yeah, I noticed Jason is going back to the Titans," kind of thing. And he goes, "They're getting back together, and so should we." Uh-huh. So Slade meets up with Wintergreen. He gets a little more intel on the Titans and where they're moving, and then Wintergreen gives him some weapons too. So Dick shows up at, of all places, Adeline's house, and she offers him some water and says, "Hey, the whole state of Nevada is out looking for you," is what she says. And she goes, "And I kind of figured you'd be here, but Slade's not here. He's gone to San Francisco to go kill your friends." And she says, "Oh, and by the way, Slade's Rose is working with Slade too." She goes, "I heard them over talking, I overheard them talking on the phone." And Dick's like, "Son of a bitch, he played me again. They both played me." And he's, blaming himself at this point. And then he looks over and he goes, "I almost missed." He goes, "I missed it." He goes, "Jericho is inside him." And she's like, "Yeah, I know. I found that out too." She goes, "And I want my son back." She says, "Jericho mentioned that you have special talents to take down legions of bad men." And so she asked Dick, to bring her son back to her. And he goes, "I'll try." I don't know how that's going to happen, but he'll try. So Dawn ends up going to the ring that Hank is at, and in her Dove costume, and starts fighting him in the ring. And he's like, "What are you doing?" She goes, "I pay my money. I want to fight you." She goes, "Obviously, we've tried talking. None of that's working. You like this kind of shit. And, the drugs aren't helping you either. So let's do it. Let's just kill you right now." And she is beating the shit out of him, and he's trying to tell her to stop, to the point where he's finally on the ground and she does an overhead jump. She's going to basically kill him, a killing blow. And he wakes up with a bloody nose. Obviously, he's been doing a lot of coke at that point. So Dick, in the meantime, enters this place called Stu's Handmade Shoes, and he talks to Stu behind the counter. He's like, "Hey, Stu, long time no see. I need a pair of shoes." And Stu's like, "I don't do shoes anymore. I'm into fruit cakes now." And he goes, "Okay, I need a fruit cake then." And he goes, "No, you just like to burn things." He goes, "Here, you want some fruit cake?" He actually shows him some fruit cake and says, "You want a slice or do you want to burn it first?" And he lights up a little, Bunsen burner, a little lighter, and he burns the top of the fruit cake. And he says, "You burned my costume," is what Stu tells him. And he goes, "Yeah, I'm sorry." He goes, "But I need a new costume," is what he tells Stu. And Stu goes, "Okay. Master Wayne told me you'd be coming. Come on." So Stu takes him downstairs, and there's this huge place underground, bunch of workers, and we meet Lily. And Stu is going over how many features the new suit has. Stealth capabilities, that the mask itself actually has night vision in it. It's got some receivers in there, some communication receivers, all that kind of stuff. And they stop at this location. They spin it around. We don't see the suit, but Dick is impressed with the suit. Dick likes what he sees. So, yeah. Hank, in the meantime, sees news of a man in a red and white bird costume robbing a laundromat of its money and a lot of detergent. Yeah. And so he goes, into his hotel room closet and sees that his suit is gone. He's like, "Son of a bitch." He goes over to the laundromat and finds this fat dude in his underwear doing his laundry, and goes, "Hey, were you here when the laundromat robbed?" And he goes, "No." He goes, "But I know it was Hawk. I heard it was Hawk. Hawk's one of my favorite guys in the Titans." Until he started doing blow and broke up with Dawn or broke up with Dove and all that stuff. And Hank, I love it. He's like, "Dove maybe dumped him. You never know. Maybe she left him." And he's like, "No, man, I don't think so, man. It's all that coke that he's been doing." Now he's on Instagram and he's like, "What?" "Yeah, Hawk is on Instagram." He goes, "Show me," because he doesn't have a phone. And this fat dude who's in his skivvy still, by the way. Obviously, this is like one of the best scenes out of this entire episode, just because of the weirdness of it. And Hank not trying to stand too close to the guy as the guy's showing him this Faux Hawk's Instagram page. And he sees a video of this guy talking. He's got the detergent up there, and we see this kid is in this oversized costume, basically talking about how he's meeting out Titans justice and all this stuff. And Hank thanks the guy and runs out the door. So we see Faux Hawk, you know, sitting there doing an Instagram, a live Instagram, when he gets a knock at the door, and it's Hank. And he goes, "Oh, hey, it's you." And Hank just punches him in the face and wants his suit back, basically. Yeah, he talks to the kid and says, "How old are you? 7?" And the kid's like 17. He goes, "Well, next summer." So he's really 16. And he goes and stays in the hotel room because his stepdad doesn't like him. And of course, his mom, he has problems at home, essentially, what's going on. And as he's walking out, he asks the kid, the kid asks if he can get his money back. And Hank's like, "What are you talking about?" He goes, "You sold me the suit in the parking lot for $200 or Coke, whichever one. So I gave you 200 bucks." And this kind of freaks Hank out a bit because he doesn't remember it at all. And he leaves and goes back to the hotel room and he lays down on the bed. He's just freaking out. And he's telling him to himself that he just needs to get through it at this point. Mercy, in the meantime, goes to Walter's place and finds him tied up. And he says two girls did this, but he doesn't remember a lot of what happened. He goes, just that they delivered his food and then they tied him up, essentially. And so he says a blonde and brunette. And Mercy shows him on the phone Dawn and Donna's pictures. And he goes, "Yeah, that's it." And she tells her right-hand guy, "We're moving up phase 2." And we see outside of a fair, like it looks like a street fair that's happening, like a Ferris wheel and all that stuff. It's being set up, and there's a van sitting on the street right by it that has a sleeping Gar in the back of it. And we're hearing classical music play, this entire time. And as we close up on Gar's face, his eyes open with a growl. And that's where we leave off on this episode. So we're moving along the main plot, which we probably should have been doing again earlier than, waiting till the penultimate episode, the episode before the last episode of the season. But no, we had to, spin our wheels and some other shit. But sure, why not? Something different in the comic book hero genre, finally. What are you talking about, Joe? Hank has demons. Yeah, Hank has his demons. And it's been done before in comics. It's not the first time. It's not the last time. Definitely. A fairly hidden Dick episode this week. Yeah, that's true. Dick has been hidden this episode. Penn's Ultimate, no. That's a different thing altogether. Um yes, we're probably gonna see Nightwing's ass next week. It's Nightwing. It's titled Nightwing, so we're gonna have Nightwing. And hopefully he beats the shit out of Deathstroke at this point. Who knows what's gonna happen with Jericho, if Jericho's gonna come out at this point. They've gotten renewed for season 3, so we're gonna get a season 3 out of this. Is it gonna be on CW? I doubt it because the adult themes, it's probably gonna stay on whatever DC Universe becomes. If it's going to go to HBO Max, I'm guessing it's gonna be HBO Max. So yeah, there we go. Um, this episode was better than the previous one, that's for sure, but not by much. And again, like I said, it just really, really, really needed to move the story along. They needed to do this for a while now. Um, I'll relent and say it's a 7 out of 10 on that one. There you go. 7 out of 10. But, yeah, I'm glad next week is the last episode, tell you the truth. It's been wearing thin on me. It really has. So, if you like what you see, hit the like button, hit the share button, like, share, and subscribe. If you also wanna know when I'm be on live again next, hit the bell too down below there. And you can also take a look at my Facebook or my website, suspenderfanimation.com, and see the schedule up there. Also, you can see my schedule up on Facebook. I put it up there as well. And there's a Facebook group page as well where you guys can post stuff and talk amongst yourselves. Yeah, I still want more Superboy and crypto as well. I agree with you, Penn. That was actually the best episode out of this entire season was Superboy and crypto. Yeah. I'm at the tail end of this thing, Mr. Roboto. So yeah, but hopefully they can spin off Superboy and crypto into their own episode, their own series. Because honestly, I like them a lot better, and not really digging the way I don't know the writers need to change. Quite honestly, the writers really need to change. They need to find a competent showrunner too. I think at this point because it's not working. I thought it was going to at the beginning of the season after episode one because episode one was just dog shit, but yeah, it is better than season 1, but not by a lot. They really kneecapped it, quite honestly. I thought it was going someplace, and then it's kinda stalled out and came back down again. Krypto shit? What's, what's Krypto shit? Or did you mean crypto? Oh, crypto shit. There we go. Okay, got it. Oh, yeah. Ugh. So tomorrow is going to be Saturday Morning Blast Off, where I talk about the genre news of the week and any other genre stuff you guys want to talk about. Sunday is going to be a double header of Mr. Robot, and Watchmen. There we go. And Monday is going to be his Dark Materials, and we wrap back around again to Friday with The Mandalorian and Titans. So yes, SBO is going to have Disney highlights, but we're going to be talking a lot about Star Wars because there's a lot of stuff going on about Star Wars at the moment. That's what this is all going to be about. So if you don't like Star Wars, too bad. That's what you're getting on tomorrow. A lot of Star Wars. That's just a sneak peek of what's happening. So yes, only 8 shows for his Dark Materials. There's only 8 shows for a lot of things that are out there. The Mandalorian's only 8 episodes as well. And yes, crypto does shit because dogs shit all the time. They really do. I should know. All right. Thank you, everybody. This is going to be a short one for the most part. Yeah, 9 for Watchmen, exactly. Um, yeah, it's been a long day. Yesterday was a long day. So I'm kind of wiped out from that too. So thank you, everybody who joined me tonight in the chat. Thank you if you made it this far in the video. Remember, at the very end, if you have not subscribed yet and you're still on the fence about joining up, take a look. There's going to be a video up here that is plucked from my fast video library to match the algorithms of as best as they can of all the stuff you've been watching, and they're going to pop it up there. Up here is going to be the Mandalorian. So, with that said, I'm going to let you guys go for the night. Yeah, half an hour is about right for a double header, exactly. Thank you, everybody. I will see you tomorrow for Saturday Morning Blast Off. Until then, don't let the door hit your ass on the way out. Otherwise, someone may, do some brain salad surgery on you and implant some stuff in there, which you don't want to have happen. Thanks, everybody. Have a good night.